you're human. Like nothing ever goes according to plan all the time. Like you have to pivot. You have to have contingencies, right? And so my definite chief aim is my plan is by 2035, I want to help 1,000 lighting business owners create $1 million a year in their business. Okay. Now, if I can do that, I should say when I do that, that's $1 billion.
Overpressure refers to the sudden increase in pressure above the surroundings caused by the wave generated when something explodes. It propagates outward from the origin, capable of causing impact, momentum, or disruption, depending on its intensity and distance. It is a critical factor in assessing the effects of emission. Welcome to the Overpressure podcast, where we dive into the explosive world of business for entrepreneurs who are vets or veteran entrepreneurs.
Today's show on the Overpressure podcast definitely lit up some bulbs in my head. We had Ryan Lee join us from Utah, teaching us all about his success and helping me out at the same time as he has built and run Lighting for Profits. Check it out, and if you like it, please like, share, and subscribe. Hey everyone, welcome back. We got Ryan joining us today, all about the world of landscape lighting. And I guess what got you going down this direction, Ryan?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Austin. I hope everyone's ready to nerd out with lighting.
Hey.
You know, it's kind of funny because I have my own podcast. It's called Lighting for Profits, but the amount of time that we talk about lighting on the podcast is like 2%. And everything else is entrepreneurship, business, and everything else. And I had no idea that I was going to be doing what I'm doing now. Like just not that long ago. What happened was basically I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I think it was because I'm in Utah. I grew up in Utah, and I remember like single mother, didn't have any extra money, and so I wanted to earn extra money. I would go knock doors and shovel walks, and I would tell people I'd get like $25. I'd do their whole driveway, porch, walks, all that. And $25, I mean, if I could make $100 on a Saturday, like that was dope. And I didn't care if it was 2 feet of snow. I didn't know about pricing or anything, you know, I was just a kid. And that was really cool. It was a cool experience. My family doesn't have a background in entrepreneurship, doesn't even have, like I went to school, I got my marketing degree. I was the first one in my whole lineage to get a degree, to like go to school, get past high school. So that was really important to me. I wanted to be, Ed Milet talks about the one is going to change the family lineage. And like, that's where I wanted to be. I didn't know Ed Milet then, but that's what I did. So I went to school, got a marketing degree. And I kept remembering like those days of shoveling walks. And my wife and I, before we got married, we started knocking doors to clean windows. And we made $10,000 in a summer, which again, at the time, this was 2002 or three. Yeah, 2000, summer 2002. Like, I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, because my job was paying me like $7 an hour. You know what I mean? So if I could make $10,000 and have a good time, that was really cool. But I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a mentor, didn't have a coaching group or a podcast like yours to listen to. Right. And so I just went to school because that was my thing. But in school, I kept just daydreaming of like being an entrepreneur and getting into window cleaning. My brother had moved from Utah to Texas. We're literally sitting in his hot tub. We're celebrating because we went down there to buy a house, and I told him, hey, we're going to blow this business up. He's like MacGyver, street smart, can sell drugs, do all that stuff. I can like have the business background. You know, I've got the education. We're going to be the dream team. And he literally told me about landscape lighting in the hot tub, because every good idea comes out of a hot tub. You know this. and he literally just says like, yeah, well, I did these 2 landscape lighting jobs. So when you actually get down here, let's talk about that. They were $4,000 each. And I'm like, what the hell? Like someone paid $4,000 to put lights on a house? That's insane. Who has that kind of money? I didn't know that like rich people existed at this point in my life. And I was like, dude, I'd much rather sell a $4,000 lighting job than a $250 window cleaning job any day of the week. And literally that night we went inside, got on the computer, went to GoDaddy and bought the domain majesticoutdoorlighting.com. And we tried some shorter ones, couldn't find it. And that's how I got into the lighting industry. So probably a lot to unpack there, but that's how I got into landscape lighting.
The difference between selling the small service versus the larger service is so minuscule that, I had a similar experience. I had started a table rental business for weddings with a partner in San Diego. And then I met my wife, Heather, and saw what she was doing. And, her package price was somewhere around $3,000 as opposed to us working an entire Saturday for two of us to make like 1,000. And just the business model makes such a difference, especially when you're just starting out. What are some other early lessons that you had on your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, that honestly was the first one. And I've heard people describe it like if you're going on a trip, if I'm going from Utah to, Miami, I mean, I can walk. It might take a while, I could ride a bike, I could do a bus, I could drive a car, I could fly private. There's lots of different ways to do it. And that was the first thing is like, there's these low barrier to entry industries, which are awesome, like window cleaning, pressure washing, stuff like that. And I love that about America. Like you can just kind of go do stuff. You can just go do stuff and make money. But then what you'll find as you get into those industries is they're like highly competitive because there's not much skill. Like you can just go buy a pressure washer, you can just go buy a squeegee. And so if you can elevate and go to like, and there's people that are going way faster than me. Like I'm probably like driving across the country, and there's people that are making $100 million a year going, why aren't you flying private, bro? And like, I want to, I'm just, working my way up the ladder here. So the first thing was to realize that like our number one asset isn't like we all want more money, but it's time. Right. And so if you can make the same amount of money in less time, then you can figure out how to expand more. So the landscape lighting industry changed my perspective. It changed my life because I was able to sell $10,000 jobs in an hour, like get in front of someone in an hour, sell them a $10,000 lighting system. And then my crew could install that in a day. That's awesome. It's a lot easier to build $1 million business when your average ticket's 10 grand instead of $250.
Right. There's the example all over the place of like 10 times 100 versus 100 times 10 to get to $1 million mark. That's the wrong math. Don't quote me on that. I should be better at math. I was back in the day, but yeah, it now matters what you're selling.
And now like I'm telling my clients, because like we're in a different era and I also know more now than I knew then. And so I'm able to help them collapse time. So I'm like, if you want to add 7 figures, if you want to add $1 million to your business in the next 12 months, you could get 100 people to give you 10 grand, right? We know that's possible. That's kind of easy in the landscape lighting world. It's not easy to get 100 people, but a $10,000 job. But why not go after 20 people? Just get 20 people to give you 50K and it's the same $1 million and it can be more profitable. Some people screw that up, but it's just a faster way to get there. And then I've got some clients that are actually taking it to the next level and they're getting 5 people to give them 200K.
It's like apartment complexes and stuff like that.
Some of these are residential, which is crazy. Like if you could see like our portfolio of like what these wealthy people spend on lighting, it's insane. Like how would someone spend $200,000 on just lighting? Well, they spent $2 million on the pool. You know what I mean? Like they got more money than they know what to do with. So they might as well give it to a lighting guy.
That's fair. Well, let's go ahead and cover kind of what you're doing now with the coaching. You exited your business and then you started teaching people. So, what was the inspiration for that, and like how has that progressed so that people understand like where you're coming from now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of people think that it's like, like when they hear about a coach or a network or something like that, they're like, oh, well, if you're so good at it, then why don't you do it? And I think I know that because I used to think like that. So that's fair if people have that mentality, but I had no idea. Like my goal wasn't like, oh, I'm going to start a lighting business and then I'm going to sell it. And then I'm going to like teach people how to do it. Like I'm terrible at teaching. When my wife and I got first married, I taught her how to snowboard and we literally almost got divorced on the mountain. Like it was bad. I'm like, just turn. And she's like, well, how? And I'm like, I don't know, just do it. Like that's how I was teaching at the time. So I did not desire to like be the inspiration for others or things like that. I simply throughout my lighting career, I started the business in 2007, sold it in 2019. So I had it for 12 years. I went through all the phases, good, bad, ugly. And I'll tell you, a lot of people say, I want to do what you did. I want to have an exit like that. And I'm like, why? Because if you knew my whole story, like, why would I sell my business when I finally got it to the point where it was running itself, where I didn't do the sales? I had 2 salespeople, 3 crews, office manager, receptionist. Like, it was literally a business, and it took almost like 11 and a half years to get it there. Right. Why would you sell a business when it's printing money and you don't have to do everything? Because the hardest part is when you're wearing all the hats and you're doing everything. And so if you can get it to the point where you can sell it, I would say don't sell it unless you're getting some like crazy offer and you know what you're going to do with that money to get into like the faster vehicle, right? But most people don't know what they want to do. So I'm like, just take the mailbox money, right? Now, I sold it because my brother and I were partners and we didn't agree. We didn't see eye to eye. He was like, dude, I just want to go left to the lake. At this point, we were making tons of money. We're wake surfing every day. And I'm like, I don't like wake surfing that much. I mean, it's fun, but I'd rather go we were in Dallas. I want to go to Houston. I want to go to San Antonio. I want to go to Austin. Then I want to go 5 more locations and then exit for, $100 million of private equity. And he's like, dude, you work too much. Like, why do you want to do all that? So it wasn't that he was wrong and I was right or vice versa. It was just, we saw it differently. And so he's trying to go left. I want to go right, which means we go down the middle. No one's happy. And so it was just one of those situations where, if I were to go back, I would have better communication from the get-go. This is your role. This is my role. This is what we're going to do. And this is what you're going to get paid for certain tasks. We didn't do that. We were just brothers that started a business and divided what was left. You know what I mean? And so any type of business that you're going to get into with a partner, you definitely need like clear expectations, clear roles, who's going to be in charge of what, if this happens, what, contingency plans, things like that. So I actually sold my business probably when the worst time, because I didn't get to enjoy that whole runway after of like setting this thing up for success. And I'm it's not that I'm complaining. It's just what happened. Right. And so when I sold the business, I didn't have this idea for landscape lighting secrets and I'm going to help this community. In fact, I never even thought of that. I was, didn't know what I was going to do. And I had a bunch of people asking me about, like, I had friends who owned businesses and they're like, man, we saw what you did. And like, you're really good at getting leads and you're good with marketing. And so I kind of started an agency, a digital marketing agency, without even like trying. They're just like, hey, well, can you do our Facebook ads? Can you do our Google ads? Can you do our website? I'm like, sure. So I was making about 15 grand a month right after I sold my business. And I was like, it's kind of easy. But what happened was my clients who were my friends started to complain. And they go, dude, you got us like 60 leads last month. This month we only got 40. I'm like, I'm sorry? Like, wait, you only got 40? Like, what are you complaining about? And they're like, well, we see you on your dirt bike in Utah and life must be nice. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Like, so I started to not like it. It was literally, I was at a marketing convention called it was called Funnel Hacking Live. And I was learning more about all this stuff. And I hear people talking about information and how you can sell knowledge. And there was a guy who was raising goats and he was making $1 million a year on a course, how to raise goats. I'm like, what? This is crazy. So I started it. That was my inspiration for like, maybe I have something that I could sell, but I don't know what that is. And right after that, COVID happened. That was like February, right before COVID. And COVID happened. Half my clients fired me from the digital marketing agency, which was kind of a relief, to be honest. I was like, oh, shucks, and that gave me some time to pause, some time to think. And at that point, I hired a coach and he helped me realize, like, dude, what you did with the lighting business was awesome. Like, think about how many people you could help. And I'm like, I'm not that smart. I'm not that good. There's got to be people that are way better than me. He's like, that's not the point. There's always someone one chapter behind. There's always someone that's like, wish they could just get a hold of you and be like, what did you do in this position? What did you do when you hired a guy and then he did this? Or how much did you pay someone? Or how did you get more leads? Or how did you close more deals? And all those things. And so that coach actually ultimately convinced me, it's like, you have something here, because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not like, you put me in a conference room or something like that. I'm not going to be like, let me tell everyone what's going on. And this is the thing that you need to do about your business, Austin. Like, you're probably doing great. You know what I mean? So it was very uncomfortable for the first, I'd say 6 months to a year, learning how to like be the one in charge and be like, yeah, this is what you need to do. And so, but it's been a fun journey so far.
I think it's a lot easier when you're coming from a place where you've done it though. And just we were part of EO for a couple of years, and their whole model is, share your experience rather than giving somebody some advice. And just say, this is what I did here in a similar situation. And I think that prevents a lot of that negative animosity that you might get as an agency owner, where you are just doing things for people. So I think it's an amazing thing you've done to transition. What were kind of some of the first steps in that transition to, sharing your knowledge with other people?
Well, honestly, I got to give a ton of credit to the coach that I hired, because before that, I was the guy who didn't go to conferences, would never hire a coach, because I would have been like, if you're so good, why don't you do it? Right. I mean, I didn't hate, like, I'm not like, you see people like bashing people online. I didn't even go online. I didn't go on Facebook groups or anything.
Right.
But I just didn't believe in it. Right. I like, why would you do that? And so, but hiring this coach was awesome because they gave me the entire blueprint. Like, I believe that everyone's capable of success. I don't care who you are. It's just might take you a lot longer if you're doing it on your own. Right. And so I believe I could have gotten where I'm at. It just would have taken like 10 years longer, because he laid it out. He goes, hey, he basically helped me draw out of my brain, like, what are the things that are really unique to me? Like, what am I good at? Because if you ask me, what are you good at? I'm like, I don't know. I like to snowboard. I like to ski. I like to dirt bike. I like to fish. I like lighting, but I'm not better than anyone. Like, there's people way better than me. But he gave me these exercises that help pull these things out and help me identify what were the true roadblocks. Like, if I could coach myself from previously, what would have helped me get my business to $2 million, but instead of on year 10 or whatever that was, year 7, like, why could that have happened faster? I'm like, oh, it totally could have, if you just did this, this, and this. So I really like sucked it out of my brain, put it on paper, and I was able to now build my own blueprint for my clients. And we narrowed it down to 3 things. Narrow it down to just 3 things. It's like, if you just do these things and like let go of the other noise, put the blinders on, you're going to get success. And I didn't come up with that. I mean, that was a blueprint from my coach.
Cool. Yeah. It's amazing how so many people have the 10-year overnight success. But
yeah, exactly.
If you actually go out and find somebody who's done what you're trying to do before, that can be 2, 3, 4 years very repeatably. And I think we've had different coaches at different points, and each one has helped us through a different stage. So I definitely see the value in it. But I'm kind of like you. I would never imagine myself doing it, like turning around and saying, hey, we're going to teach you how to build a PR agency. That doesn't seem like where my life is going. But who knows?
There's someone right now that's just starting, and there's other people that could do it, but like, people want to hear from you. They want your perspective. They don't want to learn from me. They don't want to learn from someone else. Like, that's the cool thing about social media now, is like, we have these personal brands, and people either love you or hate you type thing. And once they love you, it's like, dude, no, I want to know the way that you did it, because I like the way that you speak, and you're more authentic, and I can tell you don't care about money, and you're more about just like serving and having an impact or whatever it is. So that's helped me a lot, having that knowledge of like, yeah, there's people that not only need help, but they need my help. Like, they need to hear it from me, because they relate to me. Because I literally, like, when I share these scenarios, it's not like, oh, maybe you should try this. I'm like, no, I know exactly what you're feeling. Like, I've been in that shoe. I've had the exact same conversation with a client, and this is what I did. And so it's not theory. It's not, someone told me the difference between a consultant and a coach. A consultant is like, never done it. It's like, hey, have you thought about this? Maybe try this. And not that they're bad. Sometimes it's better to have a consultant, because they don't understand. They don't have your same limitation of thinking, right? But a coach is like, no, I've literally done this. Just run the play. This play works.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So, kind of what's next for you? Like, you've built up this presence online. Where do you want to take it?
Well, so I read the book. I can't think of what it's called right now, but Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And in that book, he talks about your definite chief aim. Mm-hmm. And definite chief aim is basically like, what is next for you? Like, what do you want out of your life? And what's crazy is, I'm 45 years old. It took me to like 42 to figure out, like, what do I want to do with my life? And even there's days now where I'm like, crap, I don't know. What do I want to do with my life? You know what I mean? I think we all kind of experience that a little bit. But the purpose of writing down your definite chief aim is to give you purpose. And like, if you're having a bad day or you're feeling depressed or the world's just like hating on you, like just refer back to that. Or if you're struggling in your mission, it's okay. Like, you're human. Like, nothing ever goes according to plan all the time. Like, you have to pivot. You have to have contingencies, right? And so my definite chief aim is my plan is by 2035, I want to help 1,000 lighting business owners create $1 million a year in their business. Okay. Now, if I can do that, I should say when I do that, that's $1 billion of impact. I've got several friends now that are like actual billionaires. And I'm like, holy cow. And so I'm some days I'm like, damn, if they can do it, I can do it. I want to be a billionaire. And then I'm like, I got 4 kids and a wife. My kids are still home. My oldest just went to school. Like, I don't want to become a billionaire right now. Like, I want to enjoy my life. I want a lifestyle business, not fly private or whatever. And so what was cool and empowering about this exercise is I get to have $1 billion worth of impact, but it's through my clients. And all I need to do is help 1,000 people create $1 million, and I'm a billionaire. You know what I mean? And so that's my goal. And we're getting close. We've, close is a relative term. We've helped our clients now generate an extra 55 million in additional revenue in our program. So we only need 945 million more to go. But what's cool is like, we give out, the way we track this is we give out awards. Like, if they get $1 million, they get the LMC, Lighting Millionaire Club. They get the Penta-Million. We have our first client that just got their LMCX. So that's 10 million after joining our program. And so it's starting to become exponential. Like, it was like 12 million and then 13 and 14. Now all of a sudden it's like, we're going to be at 60 and then we're going to be at 80 and it's going to get to 100. So it's starting to speed up, and that's what's pretty exciting. So I have a mission now. Like, I'm not allowed, like, I'm allowed to have a bad day, but it's like the next day I better like read that thing, get up off the ground, because there's people out there that need our help.
That is incredible. Like, there's so much of what we do where we talk about stuff like that, but writing it down, having that true intentionality behind it is something I haven't done in a long time, and I definitely just added that to the mental list. So thank you.
Yeah, do it. It's definitely helpful, and I'm learning that there's different ways to reach that. So, I mean, at first it was Landscape Lighting Secrets. Since then, we've started Lighting Academy, which is kind of a lower ticket just to help people get into landscape lighting. There's people that don't want coaching. There's people that don't want to meet with groups, all that. That's totally fine. So we have like a lower ticket offering. We have like our higher ticket Landscape Lighting Secrets, which is like, I explain it like the fast pass to success. If you go to Disneyland, you don't want to wait in a 2-hour line. You want to just go up the exit ramp, get right on the ride. That's what we do at Landscape Lighting Secrets. It's like, this is exactly what to do. Look, it's working for all these guys. Just say these scripts, do these processes, they work. We also launched Lighted Up Expo last year, which is the first of its kind, where we have an expo where people get to hear speakers. They have breakout sessions, round tables. We have vendors so you can see the latest technology. Again, not only to help people get into the outdoor lighting industry, but landscape lighting, holiday lighting, Christmas lighting, permanent lighting, the color changing stuff. And then we're coming out with our own software next year to help with automations and follow up and AI and stuff like that. So we're just continually like seeing where our clients are getting stuck. And then I'm like, why? I told you what to do. You're just not doing it. So like, okay, how can we help instead of just complain that our clients aren't implementing what they're supposed to do? So we're just kind of like vertically integrating to see where we can help the most.
Yeah, I love that, because, I compare it to, I tell my team members to do things sometimes and they don't, but I try and look at it as, okay, how can I have communicated this better to where they could have still accomplished the task? Even though I did ask them, it's like, I didn't ask them in the right way. And so
that's right.
On the client side, like, how can I present this information to them or set them up for success in this way to where it guarantees that favorable outcome? So I love that. You kind of went into this with your brother. I'm sure that was a pressure-filled moment. how have you handled pressure as you grew the business, as you then exited, going through client demands with the agency period, and how do you handle that pressure?
Man, I wish I had the secret weapon here. I tell you what I've done. I don't know if it hopefully it will just help one person, but I mean, I can't tell you, like, no one ever tells you when you're going to start a business, like, just how much pressure, how much stress, how much anxiety. Like, I never got depressed until I was a business owner. I didn't even know what that was. I thought people were just making shit up because they wanted some sympathy or something. You know what I mean? And so you feel feelings that you didn't know existed and you wish wouldn't exist, as a business owner. And there's all these different phases. And one day you can just be so down and the next day you can be so high. There's these extremes, which I think kind of make it worse because you just realize, like, I know how good it can be. Why am I down here? Right. And so the activity, in fact, I was just talking on a couple coaching calls yesterday about this. An activity that's really helped me is if you think about every entrepreneur that you've ever talked to or interviewed or just dealt with, like, how much does chaos come into, whether we're talking stress, anxiety, whatever. It's just, I don't know why, but if you are a business owner, you know the definition of chaos. Like, it's just, you wake up, you look in the mirror, you are chaos. Mm-hmm. And I haven't figured out how to prevent chaos, but I have figured out how to control chaos. One of my first sales trainer told me control the controllables. And, like, you can't control if it's raining outside. You can go inside. You can control, like, if you get wet or not, right? So there's certain things you can control, even though certain things you can't. And I don't know how to stop chaos, but I know how to deal with it. Like, if it's going to rain, it's going to rain. If it's going to be chaotic, it's going to be chaotic. But what happens that I've seen is at any given time in your head right now, you might be even thinking, like, about the 76 million things that you have to do. And you're like, okay, as soon as this podcast's over, I got to do this. And I got to remember to order my wife flowers because it's our anniversary. And then I got to do this and I got to do that. And, like, we all have all these things spinning. Oh crap, I forgot to call that lady back. And then, oh yeah, I told my guy I was going to give him a raise, but that was 3 months ago. And I got just all the things, right? And so the best thing that I've found is because if you have, like, a proposal, let's say, that's got to get out tomorrow at 2 p.m., at some point between now and 2 p.m. tomorrow, that proposal is going to become the number one priority, right? Even if, like, getting your wife flowers is, like, still important to do, but at some point that proposal will become the number one priority because you're literally meeting with someone. And what are you going to not have the proposal, right? And so we have all these things. We think they're all priority because they're in our head. So what I like to do is just write down, make a list, get all these things out of your head, write them down. And it could be 10 things. It could be 100, it could be 1,000. You'll probably stop writing after, like, 80 or something like that. Just get them all down. And here's where people screw this up. They're like, well, I'm not going to write that down because that's not important. Nope. If you thought of it, it's in here. So you got to get it out. And it could be like, well, no, I'm not. No, don't think. The point of the exercise is not think. Release everything, write it down. And then all you're going to do is just go review the things and just put a check mark by, like, the top 5. And typically when you put it the top 5, sometimes that turns into the top 10 because you're like, oh, I forgot about that one. That one's important too. That's okay. Don't think about priorities. Just, like, which ones are the most important. And it might be like, well, I'm skipping one. It doesn't mean it's not important. It just means it's not important today. Okay. It might be like, yeah, of course, I got to hire a salesperson. Like, if I'm going to grow to $2 million, I can't do that on my own. I need to hire a salesperson. But is that the thing that you need today? Or do you need to do that proposal? Or do you need to get your wife flowers? And so you're just going to put a check mark by the top 5. And then at that point, now you can decide the priority. Okay, which one of these is number one? And you can't move on from number 1 to number 2 until you're done with number 1. And that's the key. And this will control the chaos. And this way you're only focused on, like, that top 1 and then the 2 and then the 3. Now I only do about 3 a day instead of 5. And my list isn't thousands of things long anymore. Like, I've learned to control the chaos, right? But at first you might be having these long lists and everything else, and that's totally normal. But the point is, you're not worried about 19, 47, 56, 58. Like, that's just making your life chaotic. And that just adds to your stress. Like, it doesn't matter what you have to do next Tuesday. Only thing that matters is what are you going to do? What do you have to do Thursday night? And if nothing, then go home with your family and enjoy your time. Like, don't call the customer back. Like, don't worry. Do it Friday morning. Like, you've got that. Make that be your number one priority Friday morning. Do your top 3. don't move on from number one until you're done with it. If number one is like, hey, I got to call Ryan Lee, and you call and leave me a voicemail, well, yeah, you can move on. You don't have to wait for me to call you back. Like, but be realistic with it. But at the same time, like, most of us have all these projects, they're 80% complete, and we wonder, why are we so stressed? It's like, because you haven't finished one. Just finish number one and then go to number two.
I love the top 3 system. Like it's one of the best pressure reliefs to just write down, and then you get the sense of accomplishment. Like, hey, I did move forward today, because I always say progress, not perfection, because there's so much that you can't control. So you're never going to get it perfect. So I absolutely love that. What's something you love talking about that you rarely get the chance to? Because I imagine you talk a lot about lighting at this point, but what else is something you love or
Sheesh,
that you don't get to talk about?
I've never been asked that. What's something I love that I always get the chance to talk about business, pricing, all that stuff. But what's something that I love that I don't know, man. I think I'm addicted to business.
Love the game.
Yeah. I don't know that there's like, I don't know that I have a good answer to that, because, like I said, I'm passionate about other things. I like fishing. I like riding my dirt bike and stuff like that. So I guess the way I would answer that is, I would say it depends on who I'm talking to. Like if all of a sudden I find out that you like riding single track dirt bikes through the mountains, yeah, I'm probably going to get excited and want to talk about that. You know what I mean? But if you're like, no, I've never ridden, I'm not going to tell you about dirt bikes.
I prefer staying on the road. The one time I went off road, I tore my shoulder in a couple places. So
yeah, I have no desire to talk your ear off about riding dirt bikes, But that's why I've learned about myself, and I didn't know this. I didn't know that I liked helping people. Like, most of the time, people just annoy me, Like, really, like if I'm driving around or I see people being rude at restaurants or whatever, like, generally people annoy me. So it's weird that I like helping people. And I think it stems from the fact that I didn't have that help. I didn't have the rich dad. I didn't have like a guide. I didn't have anyone. And so it feels really, really good for me to reach back in the past. And like, every time I help someone sell like their first $10,000 job, like, for me to go sell a $10,000 lighting job right now, it does nothing for me personally. Like, I don't get that like adrenaline boost. But man, when I help my clients do it and they call me and they're like, dude, I said exactly what you said. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I thought there's no way they're going to get the check, and they did. That's like it's healing. It's like therapy for me. If I feel like, you know what, all those days where I had the blood, sweat, and tears, and I was fighting with my wife and had to go to counseling, and my kids didn't know who their dad was, like that like is very healing. It's like, well, it was for a purpose,
Wow. For all of the other activities, is that kind of a space for you to retreat to take some of the pressure off? Like, I know business has a lot of pressure. I already talked about that, but like, is that one of the tools you use to keep your sanity?
I try to. I mean, I'm telling you, like, when I say like I'm addicted to business, I could schedule like Friday off. I could schedule every Friday off and go do whatever I want, but I'm like, I could go. I'm literally like 5 minutes from a trailhead right here. You know what I mean? Like, I can just go ride my mountain bike or dirt bike, whatever. But I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to build out this new business thing. I'm going to work on that software. I'm going to do something, because I'm addicted to helping people. I'm addicted to business. And it's like that gives me a ton of joy, And so I think when I go do those activities, it's like literally intentional. I have to schedule it. Like, oh, I'm going snowboarding. Oh, I'm going to do this. Because if I don't schedule it and I've got a gap in my schedule, I'm just going to go back to work. But I don't get pressure like I used to. I think it has to do with the way I do my list now, and I really have my focus. The other thing that helps is hiring a team. I mean, I don't do everything. I've got an assistant that books a lot of my stuff. I've got an integrator that helps me. Like, I'm really good at starting projects, but really good at not finishing them too. And so she helps me with that. So I've got a team that helps me put stuff. And I think when I got a lot of that stress and a lot of the anxiety, is because if I didn't show up, it wasn't going to get done, and we were going to let that client down or let that team member down or whatever. And so when you build a team, business is fun. Like I don't get stressed anymore. It's hard. It's weird to say that because like how can you have less stress and make more money? You know, it doesn't make sense when you're like sub $1 million and doing everything. You think I'll just work harder and then I'll make more money. Like that's not how it works. Like once you build a team, you'll actually do less, let them do more, and they're gonna enjoy it more because they're only doing that thing too. You don't want your team members stressed either. You start giving them too many hats. That's why you probably have turnover.
That's also super valuable. The early team that we had, there was a lot of turnover. I'll put it that way.
Right.
So last thing is, when your clients are coming on board, and I guess from a general business standpoint, for people just starting out, what advice would you give them?
Well, people just getting started out, there's actually two things. The first thing is I would say every like lesson I teach, every framework I teach, everything else, it starts with belief.
Yeah.
And people hear mindset and they would just kind of want to close their eyes and like you hear it so much or whatever. But the reason I say it starts with belief is because one of my favorite quotes is from Henry Ford: whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And I just fully believe in that. And if someone's listening now, like, yeah, this guy's full of crap, well, then I'm full of crap. I mean, I can't change your belief about that. It's just what you think. You know what I mean? And so if you think, well, maybe he's not full of crap, maybe he's onto something, and maybe I'm gonna do that listing, or maybe I'm gonna, think about life a different way or whatever. Just consider that maybe then all of a sudden you open yourself up to new opportunities, right? And so it starts with belief. If you believe that you can't hire a team because you've hired someone in the past and you had turnover, if you believe that you can't sell a $10,000 lighting system on the spot, if you believe, then like, I don't think I can help you because your belief is going to limit you the rest of your life. But if you change that mindset and you start to believe like, yeah, I think I can do this, your thoughts lead to beliefs, your beliefs lead to actions, and your actions are what get you results. And most people are just like focused on their results and they don't realize there's like layers here. And so Henry Ford was totally right. Whether you think you can, think you can't, you're right. So one, I start with belief. But then if I get someone and they're like, I believe, I will believe what you tell me, right? I say the number one thing without a doubt, the number one thing that you need to do right now is raise your price, because it's the easiest way for me to help someone get a return on their investment. If they hire me, and it doesn't matter what you pay me $1,000 or $20,000, I can help you get a return on that investment very, very quickly. Because when you raise your price, the coolest thing about that is it doesn't cost any money.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to buy another truck. You don't even have to do more advertising. You don't even have to hire me. Actually, you can just do it right now listening to this free podcast, right? Just raise your price. And if 10% price increase in most businesses is at least a 50% increase to the bottom line. Because if they're making 20% margins, which is kind of what people talk about, and you make an extra 10%, that's 50%. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And most people say they're making 20, they're not, they're probably making 10. So you can actually double your profits with just a price increase. And that's the definition of leverage. It's like, what can you leverage? Your existing knowledge, your existing pricing, whatever it is. And so I help people raise their price overnight. Now, of course, it's easier when you have like a more dialed in sales process and you're better at marketing and you're better at branding. And we do all that, right? We help people do that. But I think people are surprised when they don't, like, I'm not asking them to double their price. I'm just saying 10% price increase, because if you can sell what you've got now, you can charge 10% more without changing your sales process, without changing your brand, without hiring me, right? Just raise your price by 10% and you're just going to make more money.
That's a beautiful first step for somebody trying to figure out the next step. I know we've done it before and worked out well. So thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the show. Hopefully everything keeps going well for you out in Utah. Where can people find out more or if they want to join your community?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. Well, I would say it just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you're just looking for some good advice and some help and stuff like that, you can connect with me on Instagram at Landscape Lighting Secrets. Message me there. I've got tons of helpful resources I can get you. We've got my podcast. I joke around. I'm the host of the #1 landscape lighting podcast in the world. And it's actually the only landscape lighting podcast in the world, but it's still the #1. Tell my kids. So the podcast is great. We have awesome guests on there that are just sharing. I mean, I probably learned the most. I'm taking notes on my own podcast, So yeah, reach out to me on Instagram. Reach out to me through Lighting for Profits is the podcast, or connect with me at Ryan Lee on Facebook.
Very cool. Thanks, Ryan. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, take it easy. Thanks.